Hey guys, welcome back to Storytime with YDRC. Today, we're going to be continuing to read Klawde, Evil Alien Warlord Cat, the Space Dog Cometh. So last time we left off at chapter 17, and that's where we're going to start off for today. So let's get started. As we all drove home from Wendy's Waffle Bowl, I couldn't tell if I felt bad because I'd eaten a triple scoop of mint cookies and cream in a chocolate-dipped cone with rainbow sprinkles, or because Aji was suddenly talking about throwing a dinner party for the entire 6th grade. I couldn't think of a more terrible idea, and it was all Steve's fault. He'd told Aji how much he liked her roti and samosas, which got her started on the topic of all the cooking she'd been doing for me. Surely, she said, I had the most beautiful, healthful, delicious lunches in the whole cafeteria. Surely every kid was jealous of me. And I didn't mean to say it, but it just came out. Why can't you just pack me cheese sandwiches like Dad does? Aji's face went dark, and I felt horrible. She was silent until we dropped off Cedar and Steve. Then she turned to me and said, Raj, we will show them all. Huh? I said. I will make a feast, and you will help me. All the children will come and taste this food, and they will love it. Aji, kids my age like hot dogs and hamburgers, Lunchables. Do you know what those are? I can tell by the name that I do not want to know, Aji said. But it would be so fun to spend time with all your friends, she said, cutting me off. And that nice young man, the skinny one who ran away, make sure he comes too. He looks like he could use a good meal. His name is Scorpion, and he's really not a nice young man. Now, when should we do it? Aji said, tapping the steering wheel and thinking. Oh, I know, your birthday. I groaned and sank into my seat. How much worse could it get? At least we got home before she decided to hire a clown to make balloon animals. As we waited for the garage door to come up, we both heard it, the most blood-curdling shriek in the history of time, and it was coming from our backyard. Woofles, Aji said, starting to run. Klawde, I yelled and ran faster. Chapter 18. Yow! The pain! It was like my tail had been blasted by a Zaxxonian laser torpedo. Fortunately, my cry of agony so surprised Barks that he loosened his grip. I broke free and fled, with Barks a mere whisker's length behind. Flabby, terrified, raced off in the other direction, taking the camera with him. Thank the 87 moons. I couldn't have the cats back at home see what was happening, namely, that I was running away from a dog. Stay! I yelled over my shoulder, but having tasted blood, Barks was immune to my commands. And now the beast was gaining on me. Up ahead was the tallest tree in the yard. I raced for it, Barks's jaws snapping right behind me. Bark, 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 bark. I reached the base of the tree, sprang up, and caught claws to the trunk. In another moment, I was perched on a high branch. The dog tried to leap after me, but his clumsy paws could not grip the bark. What's the matter, comrade? I said. Oh, that's right. Dogs can't climb trees. Overcome with fury and frustration, he answered with a snarl. Not so polite now, are you? I called down. Woof, 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 woof. Master, master, are you alive? I heard faintly. I adjusted the earbud. Yes, lackey, I said, alive and well. Oh, thanks, thank goodness. When that dog got you by the tail and the visual went out, all the cats back here thought you'd been eaten for sure. Ha, It takes more than one alien ranger dog to stop Whiz-Cuz, the master of 3 species. So you escaped him? Escaped him? Why, I defeated him. Yes, I said in my most triumphant voice. The yellow beast is humbled here before me, groveling miserably, just like the other one. Ha! I have no use for you, vile dog. Taste the slash of my claw. He's now bleeding. It is really quite bloody, yes. So, why is he still barking? Oh, those are just his moans of agony. Good news, everybody! I heard Floofy say as he proceeded to regale the crowd with a tale of my incomparable feat. And then the humans arrived. Chapter 19. Whatever the horrible sound had been, it was followed by an insane burst of angry barks and shrieking yowls. As soon as I got into the backyard, I stopped in my tracks. A dog I'd never seen before was jumping up and down on his hind legs, like he was trying to climb an oak tree, madly barking at something in the branches above. That something was Klawde. Hey! I shouted. Get away from my cat! To my surprise, the dog stopped barking, turned around, and plopped right down on his butt. Then he offered a paw in my direction, almost like he wanted me to shake it. Who are you, doggy? I said. Where did you come from? Be careful, Ajay warned as I walked toward him. Always approach a dog you don't know slowly. The dog's tail began to wag, and his tongue flopped out of his mouth. He sure looked friendly. Offer the back of your hand, Ajay called. Let him smell it. I did what she said, and the dog carefully sniffed me. Then he licked my fingers and rolled over on his back so I could rub his belly. Wow, you're so nice, I said as I scratched him. What a good boy. I heard a hacking sound coming up in the tree. Do you think he's a stray? I asked Ajay. No, he's too well behaved. And look at that gorgeous coat. He is surely a golden retriever. I reached into the thick fur under the dog's neck and found a collar with a metal tag. He has a license, I said, but the writing on it is weird. It doesn't even look like letters. Ajay came over and squinted at the symbols. That's very strange, she said. Could it be a different language? She put her hands on her hips and addressed the dog. We can't contact your owners, Mr. Doggy, if we can't read their phone number. What are we going to do with you? We don't have to take him to the pound, do we? I asked. You said they put dogs to sleep there. The sound coming from the tree was now a purr. Chapter 20. I was most disappointed. The ogres did not take Barks to the place where they put dogs to sleep. Instead, the boy human attached a rope to his collar and led Barks into the dwelling. What was wrong with these ogres? They were going to allow another dog into my fortress? This was just one more reason I had to return to Litterbox as soon as felinely possible. Still seething, I came inside to eat my dinner, which I must say was divine. The ancient ogre had prepared fried white cubes of delectable goodness called paneer. When my dish was empty, I bestowed upon her the rare honor of the tailed twirl. Then I descended to the bunker to contact Floofy. Before I could, however, the boy ogre came down the stairs, with Barks right behind him. The wretched canine was pretending to be an innocent earth pet, panting with his tongue out like some drooling dimwit. Not that it was much of a stretch. What's the story with this dog, Klawde? The boy human asked. Where did you find him? I told him that the dog found me, but he remained suspicious. This was ironic, as for once I was actually innocent. Not innocent of exploding a planet, obviously, but of summoning this moronic mutt to my yard. Then how do you explain his tag? The boy human asked. It looks like alien writing, like your writing. The thought that the ignorant scroll of the dog planets could be mistaken for the intricate script of Litterbox sickened me. I stayed silent, however, as I did not want the boy ogre to know that Barks was a space ranger seeking to arrest me. Barks, too, obviously felt the need to keep his identity a secret. Or maybe he just enjoyed acting like a dumb Earth dog. Aw, look at the way he's licking me, Claude. Isn't it so cute? It was not. The young human turned to go upstairs. I don't know what you're up to, Claude, he said, but be nice to the doggy. Nice. Remind me what that means again? The moment the two of them were gone, I called Floofy, who answered eagerly. Hey, Lord and Master, the cats here sure are impressed by how you defeated that doggy ranger. The bards are yowling your praises, and the Calico Queen has been forced to allow your return. I hear they're even going to give you a parade. I just love a parade. But what about the ship to bring me home? I asked. That's the best news of all, Floofy said. I'm in it. The bummer is that it's one of our slower models, so we won't get here until tomorrow. I'd say around noon ogre time. This was it. It was really happening. My rescue was imminent. I was to return home in triumph. Oh, purr of all purrs. The only thing that could possibly ruin my plans was Barks. I needed to make sure he stayed out of my fur long enough for me to escape this awful wasteland. I found the beast in the kitchen. The boy ogre had made a bed there for him, a nest of blankets, a pillow, and one of Wolfles' special stuffed bears, and Barks was sound asleep in it, snoring, just like the bald ogre. I reached out and poked him in the flank. No response. I looked around to make sure we were truly alone, and then I bit him in the leg. That's for my tail, K9, I said. I steeled my nerves and prepared for a counterattack. But Barks merely yawned. Look, he said, I know that I have to catch you and make you face justice and all, but can we do that in the morning? I'm exhausted from chasing you up that tree, and if I don't get my 20 hours of sleep a day, I'm not really good for much. He yawned again and gave a long stretch of his front legs. Besides, he added, I can't capture you when the humans are in the house. I'm not allowed to let them know who I really am. Leader of the pack's orders. And I'm not feline to you. Get it? Like feline, but it's feline. Funny, right? And thus another ancient observation was proved correct. Dogs have the worst sense of humor in the universe. But this new information from Barks cheered me. By the time the ogres finished their lunch, I'd be long gone in the rescue pod. As I turned my tail to leave, Barks bid me good night. And good luck with all your plans, he added, rolling over onto his back. With all my plans? Did the dog suspect something? Did he know something? Impossible. He was strong, yes, but so obviously dull-witted that I had nothing to fear. Chapter 21. When I came downstairs the next morning, the new dog was waiting for me in the kitchen, wagging his tail and practically begging me to come play with him. I'd never had anyone look that happy to see me before, not even my own parents, and definitely not Claude. Aw, who's a good boy? I said, rubbing his ears. Should we go outside? I grabbed one of the tennis balls Ajay had brought for Wolfles, and the dog and I went into the yard. Do you know how to fetch? I asked him. Do you, boy? He actually seemed to be thinking about the question. I threw the ball and said, "Go get it!" He hesitated, glancing back and forth between me and the ball. For a moment, he locked eyes with me, cocking his head to one side. Then he spun around and went racing after the ball. He picked it up, trotted right back to me, and dropped it at my feet. "Let's do it again!" Wag, wag, wag. It was kind of weird to talk to an animal and have it not talk back. Weird, but not necessarily bad. I didn't miss being called an imbecile. I threw the ball until my arm got sore. Then I threw with the other arm. This dog couldn't get enough. Finally, after we'd played fetch for at least an hour, the dog flopped at my feet, panting. I sat down next to him and petted his amazing golden fur. "I wish you could stay with us for a while," I said. I looked again at the tag on his collar. What in the world did it say? "I'm going to call you Roscoe until we find your real owners, okay?" The dog's tail flopped against the ground. I think he approved. "Raj!" Ajay called from the kitchen. "Breakfast time!" When I went inside, Ajay handed me a plate of dosa. "You know, your cat is very peculiar," she said. "This morning I saw him staring at the newspaper, like he was pretending to read it." "Yeah, pretending," I said. "That's funny." "He likes paneer, so he is obviously smart. Still, he'll never be able to do cute tricks like a dog," she said, and looked over her shoulder. "Isn't that right, little Wuffles?" Wuffles barked, then farted. Chapter 22. I waited high in the tree for my escape pod to arrive. Nothing, not even watching the boy ogre and Barks cover through the yard in a revolting display of joy and mutual affection, could dampen my mood. What would be my first act upon being reinstated as supreme leader? Should I raise massive taxes to build myself a new palace? Slash the fur care budget? Release Fang from prison and then lock him back up again? Return the calico to Earth? No, that would be too cruel. I would shave all her fur and make her wear clothing instead. The boy human exited the yard, and Barks came over to my tree. This would be tedious. "Hey, how come you're up in the branches again, Claude? I hope you're not scared of me," he said. "Like I told you, I won't catch you while the humans are around." My ears flattened. "You surprised me once, Canine, and all you got was my tail. You could stay for 10,000 more sunrises, and you wouldn't catch any more of me than that." "We'll have to see about that, I guess." "You'll never get the chance," I muttered. Just then, my earpiece exploded. "Lord and Master," Floofy said, his voice now clear as if he were standing next to me. "We just passed through the Andromeda Galaxy. We're almost there." I could hardly contain my excitement. I was mere moments from my deliverance. "What's that noise?" Bark said, his ears pricking up. "And what's that in your ear?" "Oh, it's nothing," I said. "Why don't you run along and play or chase the flying round object game with the ogre some more?" Barks wagged his tail. "That human, you sure lucked out with him. What an extraordinary animal he is." "My human?" I said. "The one they call Raj. That's who we're talking about?" Granted, he was less offensive than the other ogres, and he had proved himself useful on several occasions. But extraordinary? I could hardly see how that word would apply. The way he loves to play. He throws the ball so straight and so far. I tell you, I haven't had this much fun since I was a puppy in a litter of 14. Bark sighed. "Oh, humans are so wonderful. I sure will miss them after I rest you and go home." Suddenly, in my ear, "We are here, Lord and Master! We are about to enter the Milky Way! Oh, wonderful day! We will get you in moments!" "Well, Barks," I said, "you and the human can have each other. For if you plan on staying on Earth until you arrest me, you shall stay forever. For I, Wizcuz the Magnificent, master of Lord and Master! Be quiet, fool!" I yelled into the microphone. "I am delivering my evil genius speech." "But we have a problem," Floofy said. "We're stuck." "Stuck? What do you mean, stuck?" "There's some kind of force field surrounding the Milky Way. It's preventing us from getting in. It's nothing like we've seen before." "Well, blast through it, fool." "I'll try, Master, but it's some seriously advanced technology. I don't know who could have done this." "Who? Who indeed? Which of my archenemies? The Calico Queen? General Fang? Tarquin the Tormentor? So what's going on up there, oh Lord and Master?" I looked down at Barks, who was grinning his grotesque doggy grin at me. No, I couldn't believe it. "It was you," I cried. "You slobbering, stinking pile of fur. How did you do this? How did you know?" "We dimwit dogs have been intercepting your communications with Litterbox for weeks," he said, wagging his tail. "How do you think we even knew you were on Earth?" I was in such rage that my immense vocabulary failed me. I hissed and spat. "Anyways, I am sorry to mess up your travel plans, Claude," the miserable mutt said. "I know how much you want to go home, but you're going to the Dog Star Cluster instead." With that, the canine turned and left. I could only muster a single word, spoken with all the fury that had ever fueled my warrior soul. "Barks!" Chapter 23. On Sunday, Cedar and Steve came over to meet Roscoe, who wagged his tail so much when he saw us that Steve got worried it was going to fall off. And when I asked Roscoe if he wanted to play fetch, it was like he nodded yes at me. My arm was so sore from yesterday that my first throw sailed way off. But Roscoe raced under it, leaped into the air, spun all the way around in a twisting somersault, and landed with the ball in his teeth. "Wow," Steve said. "Did you train him to do that?" "No, he just does that on his own, because he's awesome," I said, scratching him behind the ears. Cedar and Steve were amazed by all the tricks Roscoe could do. He could shake, walk on his hind legs, speak, and give high fives. Cedar was trying to teach him how to dance when Aji poked her head out of the door. "Raj," she said, "it's time to come inside. We have to make the found dog posters." My heart sank. It was super selfish, but I never wanted to find Roscoe's owners. I think Cedar could tell, because as she petted him goodbye, she said, "It'd be great if you could keep him." And why couldn't I? Plenty of people had a cat and a dog. Steve had 2 dogs and a hamster, and Cedar's cousins had a whole farm full of goats and sheep. When I asked Aji about it, she looked at me like I'd gone nuts. "First of all," she said, "Roscoe's owner is somewhere. And second of all, your mother wouldn't allow it. Not in 10 lakh years." Since 10 lakh means a million, this was basically her way of saying never. And as much as I hated to admit it, she was right. I took a picture of Roscoe to put on the poster. He licked my hand like he was trying to comfort me. "I swear, it's like he knows exactly what I'm feeling," I said to Aji. "Dogs are very intuitive," she said. "Isn't that right, Wuffles?" "No, boy. Put your Aji's shoe back." When I went upstairs to make the poster, Claude was lying on my bed, and as I began to type out the description of Roscoe, he came over to look. Found dog. Friendly, intelligent, well-trained golden retriever. Gentle but strong. He's able to answer to all commands. Are you serious? Claude said, reading over my shoulder. Try caught trespassing, pompous, insufferable, insipid mutt. Underhanded and smug, he answers to the name of moron. Claude, I said, if I didn't know you better, I'd say you were jealous of him. He hissed at me. Ogre, you have no idea how he plagues me. The cretinous cur thwarts me at every turn. He usurps my place, upsets my best laid. What are you so grumpy about? I interrupted him. You don't even like to play fetch. He hissed again and left. Cats. I would never understand them. Chapter 24. After dinner, the young ogre shackled Barks with a leash and led him away on a forced march. I took this opportunity to call Floofy via a secure line on the intergalactic communicator. When I asked my minion if he had made it through the force field yet, he informed me that he had abandoned his position and returned to Litterbox. You cowardly scoundrel, I cried. You must come back at once and try again. But, oh supremest one, there was nearly a mutiny on the ship, Floofy said. Until I break the force field's encryption code, there's no way I'll get the loyalists to come back with me, he added, muttering. Not that they're even that loyal anymore. What did you say? Speak up, dolt. Oh, well, with you stuck on Earth, your poll numbers are way down. The Calico Queen is claiming that you're afraid to come back. And Fang? Well, he's out of prison now and working as the Queen's spokescat. He's really quite charming in his own. Silence! I order you to fix this. To break the encryption. To resend the ship. Oh, hey, what's that? Your highestness? Shh. So much static. You're breaking up, Invincible Master. Shh. Stop doing that. I never fall for it. Floofy sighed. Look, I'm sure I can figure out this force field thing. After all, you say the canines aren't that smart. So how hard can it be to hack their system? In the meantime, you have to sit tight. He wanted me to sit tight? Ha! Idleness was not an option for a warlord. What I needed was to take the matters into my own paws. Chapter 25. I'd just come into the kitchen after an early morning walk with Roscoe when Aji handed me a bowl of pongal and a notebook. Here, she said, breakfast and the menu for the feast. With all the Roscoe excitement, I was really hoping she'd forgotten about the birthday party. Oh, no, I did not forget, Aji said, as if reading my mind. I have decided on most of the dishes, but I need you to look the list over. This is your party, after all. Actually, it wasn't mine. It was hers. But I didn't think I could make her understand that. Luckily, my phone rang. It was Mom. How's Hawaii? I asked. Do you know how to surf yet? She was telling me about how she'd just gotten locked inside her first tube, whatever that meant, when Woofles started barking for his breakfast. And then Roscoe joined in, even louder. she said sharply. Are there 2 dogs in my house now? Well, I began. What is my mother doing? She practically yelled into the phone. Opening a kennel? Aji went red. Oh, Mom, it's not like that at all, I said quickly. Roscoe just showed up in our yard the other day, and we're working really hard to find his owners. He's a great dog, Mom. You'd love him. Interesting, she said. There was a long pause, and I heard her take a sip of something. Well, I'm glad you're trying to help him get home. Just make sure it happens sooner rather than later. Don't worry, Mom. We'll take care of it. How is everything else going? Do you like your new camera? I couldn't admit that I hadn't used it since Claude tricked me, and that I didn't even know where it was at the moment. It's great, Mom. The best birthday present ever. After I hung up, Aji said, Good job with your mother, and patted me on the shoulder. Now help me with the menu. Sighing, I scanned down the list of dishes. If we served this stuff to the kids from school, they'd make fun of me forever. I couldn't even pronounce half of the dishes on the list. Alugeta? What was that? Also, practically everything was a vegetable, which made sense, us being vegetarians and all, but I bet Brody hadn't eaten anything green in years. Could we have some tortilla chips? I asked. Maybe some salsa? Aji clucked her tongue and handed me a stack of envelopes. Here, she said, all 12 invitations. You can hand them out at school today. My stomach felt queasy. It was great that I'd talked her down from inviting the whole class, but written invitations? What decade did she think this was? And make sure you tell them, come hungry. Chapter 26. Finally, the fortress was ogre-free, and I could initiate my new plan to make Bark so miserable that he would abandon his mission and slink home in defeat. And in order to do so, he would have to lower that infuriating force field. Owing to Barks' size, it was unwise to engage him in a full frontal attack. But though the canine had brute strength on his side, I possessed the vastly superior attributes of stealth and cunning, which is why, late at night, when cats roam their territory and dogs lie in a snoring stupor upon their beds, I had scouted the fortress and chosen the site of my ambush. To an earth dog, there is no more delectable liquid than the water found inside the white porcelain fountain in the bathroom. I had yet to sample it myself, for obvious reasons. I pooped in it, and far worse, so did the ogres. But the imbecilic Woofles had somehow informed Barks of its deliciousness, and so I curled up behind the toilet bowl to hide. I waited many nap times. My claws itched to slash the canine's huge, hideous snout. Finally, I heard it, the click of toenails along the floor. A moment later, the beasts came into the room. Please, Woofles, Barks said, after you. I heard the sound of Woofles slurping the toilet water, while Barks panted eagerly, waiting his turn. He wouldn't get it. I sprang from my hiding place, claws fully extended. My left paw slashed Barks's nose, my right his ear. Barks stumbled backward in shock. What the heck? He said. I used Woofles' back as a launching pad and hurled myself into the hallway, hitting the ground full stride and racing away. Barking wildly, the dogs took up the chase. How clumsy these mutts were, scrabbling madly along the floor. I leaped to the mantel and flung down a stack of books that the father ogre kept there. They hit Barks on the shoulder, and he yelped in anger. After that, I launched a vase at Woofles. By some miracle, he dodged it, and roses scattered across the rug. I crouched down, my hips waggled as I prepared for liftoff. Soon, I was sailing over the dumbfounded faces. I continued the chase down to the bunker, where I had prepared my final strike. Perched atop the Father Ogre's recliner, I waited as they made their clumsy, thundering descent of the stairs. As they spotted me and began to close in, I reached down and pressed the button on the armrest. The bottom half of the recliner shot out, flinging Wuffles into the air. He did a full somersault before landing on his back in the potted fern. It was brilliant, Barks snarled. He was about to lunge at me, but then he stopped and sat down. Whatever for? Did he want to call a truce? My strategy was working. Already, Barks was giving up, but I wasn't finished with him yet. I jumped down and clawed him on his nose. Bad cat, said a voice. I looked up and saw the ancient ogre, glaring at me from the staircase. No paneer for you tonight, kitty. Barks slunk over to her, whimpering and whining. He looked so wounded and pathetic that if I were capable of pity, I might have felt it. Poor doggy, the ogre said. It's a good thing I came home, or who knows what this naughty kitty might have done to you. Don't worry, I'll make you something special for dinner tonight. The minute the ancient one left, Barks got up and began wagging his tail. You fraud, I hissed. You sniveling charlatan. Actually, you really did hurt my nose, Barks said, giving me his stupid sad dog look and my feelings. Bah! This outrage would not go unpunished. So that's where we're going to end off for today at the beginning of chapter 27. If you guys don't want to miss the next episode, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss it. That's all for today, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.